We'll do it live.
Do it live.
Do it
Fuck it. We'll
live.
do it live.
Okay, I think it's working. It says we're live. Yay! We did
What?
it. Oh my gosh. Welcome, everyone. Um, and welcome to another edition of Filmmaker Chats. I am here today with Timmy Morgan. Hello, Timmy.
Hey.
We are
Hey, what's that then?
we are super excited to be doing this with you guys again, and I apologize that it's taken so long to do another filmmaker chat. I've been working out these technical bugs with the live streams, and I think hopefully we have it down. Please let me know in the comments if you can hear us, if everything looks good, if we sound fine. And of course, as always, let us know if you have any questions because we're here to answer your questions too. But first, I'll give you my whole spiel. So this is a filmmaker live stream chat that I was originally going to do for Patreon only. And my mom says sounds and looks great. Thanks, Mom. And I'm gonna close it. Well, I'll keep that open. I was originally going to do these for Patreon only, but due to life circumstances, I thought we could all use more connection. So I'm doing them for free, but if you ever miss a live stream and you wanted to see it, you can sign up on my Patreon, which is patreon.com/FIY, to get the archive so that you can rewatch and see all of the live streams. So it's a little bit of both. You can still sign up on Patreon to see old ones, but you can always catch them live here for free. But today we are talking to Timmy. Hey, Timmy.
Hey.
Hey. I love the
You're
awkward,
the
awkward
awkward
hands.
jazz hands.
The
Yeah.
jazz hands, yeah. Um, and our friend Sam is also in the chat. Hi, Sam.
What?
Yes.
Sam?
He says,
What?
this is the best thing in the interwebs today. Thank you, Sam.
Oh,
And he wants you
well.
to do bits, which
We'll do some bits.
we'll do some bits. Timmy and I are working on another project, a narrative podcast, and last night we had a meeting full of bits. It was so many bits.
Ash is learning what happens when you decide to collaborate with improvisers.
Yeah,
'Cause-
it's a lot of me trying to get shit done while everyone else is laughing like sixth graders. But
Well, we are trying to make Ash into an improviser. We're getting there.
yes, yeah, I'm learning.
Yes, you are.
Um, but Timmy, you are an actor, a voice actor, and a writer. Uh, an improviser as well, as you mentioned. We've worked together before on my short, the web series pilot for Infectious, which if you haven't seen, you can see on my other channel, Laugh Stash TV. Timmy plays a stereotypical 90s sitcom dad, and you're just spot on. Nobody else could have done
Oh,
that part as well as you. It was great.
thanks. I was trying to fuse a little bit of the '90s sitcom dad with a little bit of Ty Burrell. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
make it a little
I
modern
remember we
family.
talked about that before shooting. We
Yeah,
talked about how like he's kind of a little bit like Ty, that character.
yeah.
Um,
I channel Ty.
yeah,
I'm a big Ty fan.
he's great. He is wonderful.
Yes.
You've also done several commercials. I was trying to remember what was the one where you were like a son. Weren't you like a,
A
or you
son?
were with someone who was dressed as
Oh,
a son?
as she was dressed as California.
Oh,
I
okay.
was dating California.
Oh,
This
nice.
it was a WaterWise commercial for the Department of Water and Power in LA metro area,
Right.
and so they were like, love California and protect, save water, and so it was just me dating the state of a big foam California.
It was
Uh,
hilarious. I
it
love
was.
that one. And you've also done voices on DC Universe Online. I was seeing on your IMDb.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. I do some video games. And that was one.
Uh oh.
Voice.
Oh no, am I losing you?
Uh,
Oh,
and
you're back.
did you lose me?
For like two
Oh,
seconds. You're
oh,
back. You're fine.
okay, okay, all right.
It
Yeah,
wouldn't be
this
a
is
live
poor connection.
stream without technical difficulties.
Yeah, let me know. I mean, yeah, I we we had our power go out today, so that could be some hiccups in the
Yeah, so Timmy might just dip out at any moment.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did voiceover for DC Universe Online, which is owned by Sony, uh, and um, and I was a character called Simon, who is
Oh.
a kind of part of the oh gosh, now I'm gonna forget. It's like something like the Furious Five, it's not that, but it's like that. These five villains that are kind of they always foil themselves because they're kind of collectively idiots. Um,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
so I was this kind of brainiac character named Simon with a P,
Oh,
PSI.
fun.
Yeah,
Um, and you're also in my short film that is coming out November 20th called
yeah,
Joining Call.
right.
And you play a character that I think you could really relate to, I would say.
Yes. Uh,
Um,
yeah, I am a dad in real life, and I think you kind of maybe that's why I came to mind for this because I'm a dad in this project as well,
mhm.
battling, trying to get work done or play Dungeons and Dragons without children interrupting, and of course that's impossible during quarantine because they never leave. They're
Yes.
always here.
And
Oh,
the irony was it was happening in real time as we were recording the short film. We not only would have scenes where the kids were supposed to interrupt you, but the kids would then also interrupt you other times.
yes, they would.
It was hilarious. Basically, every issue in the film happened in real life during the making of the film, which was
Yeah,
pretty funny.
yeah.
But I do want to talk more about joining called. Before we do, I wanted to talk to you about acting because you're
Mhm.
my first. I mean, I have had another actor on, but you're my first actor that, I think you have tons of experience being on set and voice acting.
Mm.
So I'd love to talk to you about, first off, like what sort of direction do you like to get from the director? Because, every actor is a little different. What sort
Yeah,
of direction do you prefer?
that's a good question. I think any actor loves an actor's director. So, a director that um, kind of understands actors and kind of understands our brains,
Mm-hmm.
and can kind of give direction that. So it's kind of like, especially even in voiceover, it's kind of like a meet creatively meet halfway, where like,
Mm.
okay, here's kind of what we're thinking. Here's what I want, and a director who can communicate that effectively, but not hold my hand and walk me through it. Like our job
Right.
as actors uh, is to read into what they're trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Like because not every director is going to necessarily be able to put it into words. Like this is what I want. So
Yeah.
an actor's job is to really understand the different ways that we can play it, the different ways we can do things, and be able to read into kind of the subtext of what a director is saying without a director having to hold our hand.
Right.
So I think directors that don't hold our hands, that give us a little bit of, uh-oh, there went my light. Told you it was going to happen. Uh,
Technical problem number two.
yeah, right. Uh, that respect us in our craft, but also can effectively communicate because um, sometimes you just don't know what they want, and
Yeah.
you give it like voiceover or on camera, you give a take, and um, you think you got it, and so yeah. But I think it's kind of this happy medium of someone that understands and respects the craft of acting and performing, but also is a good communicator. Sorry.
No worries. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll add to that. It's something that I think I've said before on the channel is that um, I highly recommend directors to take some acting classes
Mhm.
or improv classes. I took acting in middle school and high school. I took acting classes, and it's really helps me be able to communicate and understand and where you as an actor are coming from. And I think you hit a really, oh, whoops. Oh, I almost lost you there for a second. I think you're back.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Got a little slow.
yeah, I think you hit a really key thing on the head there is that expressing what you want as a director is a skill. And it
Yeah.
can be really hard to figure that out, and put it into words sometimes. And I think that's a skill that you develop as you go on, because
Yeah.
I definitely have thought back about some of my early short films and like trying to explain to an actor what I wanted. And I'm just like, that was not helpful, you
Mm,
know? So I think over
yeah.
time you start to learn. But I also think I try to, you know, use like real world examples, and talk to the
Yeah.
actor like, from the character's perspective. And I think that, motivation is really key, because it doesn't, tell right. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like telling you, be happier in this take isn't really like helpful. But
Yeah.
telling you
Sure.
like, well, your motivation in this scene is you really want to go to this theme park. So,
Yeah. Right.
how can you achieve that or whatever?
Right.
So I think actionable items are more helpful. No worries if it keeps going out.
So, 1 second. I'm
Okay.
plug it back in. This is so annoying. I knew this was gonna happen with this guy. Oh, sorry about the sound.
I
All
like the
right. Well,
color changing. Are you just having your own dance party
yeah.
tonight?
It defaults to the yellow light, and then it goes to blue, and then yeah. So I'll just leave it. Um.
But going off of that too, I'm curious, like, how much freedom do you prefer? Because you were talking about, like, as an actor, it's my job to know all these things and
Yeah.
whatnot. Um, Sam says the light is a sweet bit.
Yes.
Um, but
Good bit.
like,
Can you see me? I'm just gonna leave it
yeah,
off.
it's fine.
All
Don't
right.
worry
Sorry,
about it.
guys. You're not gonna have as good a
Um,
lighting on my.
Lights, camera, action, right? But
Yeah.
how much freedom as an actor do you prefer? Because, you know, I always like to give you freedom because, like you said, as an actor, I think you are naturally going to bring stuff to the table, and you should be allowed to bring stuff to the table. So how do you feel about like given creative freedom?
Yeah, I think it certainly depends on. So, since a lot of my craft right now is in voiceover, and just so viewers understand, like I lived in LA for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm currently on the west or east coast, in Pennsylvania, um, and just kind of being near family right now. So I'm not doing as much on camera stuff, although that's still, I feel like that's always going to be part of my life. And in the future seasons will be a much bigger part. But right now, um, I do mainly voiceover. But this is still applicable to the question because
Mm-hmm.
I'm working with directors all the time.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think it depends on the project. If it's especially if it's a project that is more comedic or more fun,
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate a lot of leeway to be able to bring kind of what I do and what my ability
Your
to,
humor.
yeah, humor especially to the project because that's that's I feel like my strength,
Mm-hmm.
and as an artist, as artists we want to be able to be part of the dance of the creative process,
Yeah,
and
totally.
nobody wants to dance with someone that needs complete control over the process, and
Yeah.
so especially in ones where I'm really bringing more of my strengths to it, like that's something that having some leeway definitely is nice. But at the same time, like it is collaborative, and as an actor, 99% of the time, it's not my project, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and so probably 100% of the time, unless I'm actually a producer on it as well, and
Yeah.
I'm the writer. Um, so especially in commercial work, I want a happy client,
Mm-hmm.
and so I want to deliver what they want. And a director is going to help. The director should ultimately be the liaison between the client, whether that's the producer or the executives for a film or for a commercial. They're the liaison, and they should be able to communicate with the client. Actor, like I don't want to just make myself happy. Like I want to be able to get what the client wants.
Right.
What the you know what the ultimate person in charge once. Um, so yeah, so it's kind of like I assume because I've been hired, like there's something that I bring to the table,
Totally.
you know,
Mhm.
and so I want to be able to have some leeway in that. But there are sometimes where they have a very very strict track that they want or groove they want to keep you in, and I don't get upset about it, but it's just they're not that fun.
Right.
Ultimately, like it's just not. It's just kind of like you feel like more of a technician,
Right.
just doing a thing.
Yeah.
Uh, if anyone has a chance, by the way, this last week, if you ever listened to This American Life podcast,
Oh.
uh, it's excellent. They did an amazing, their second story. They did an incredible story about the pit musicians in the Phantom of the Opera, who've
Ooh.
made good money doing it for years, decades, but they play the same music
Oh.
every night.
Yeah.
Um, and what that does to your brain, where one of the violinists referred to himself as a violin technician, or a
Wow.
violin operator.
Yeah.
you
I
know,
I mean it's totally not the same thing, but I was in band in high school and you just, every football game you're playing the same songs over and over
right?
again. And what I found is it gets to a point where you're like at first when you learn the song, you're like this is great. I'm so excited. And then it gets to a point where you hate the song. And
Yeah,
then it gets to a point where you've done it so many times, you're back around and you love it. And you're
yeah,
just like
true.
whatever.
Yeah, it's
Um,
true. But I think what taking that back to acting, like there are some roles where you just feel like you are in service of something else and you're not actually getting to play an artistic or creative role in that.
right.
Um,
Hmm.
and look, if we're getting paid to do anything that resembles acting, like how can I complain?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I can't. I do some voiceover jobs that aren't that fun, but at the end of the day, I'm still getting paid to,
Hmm.
to talk, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, and I felt the same way when I did on camera commercials. Like, yeah, the content itself isn't always that exciting, but I am getting paid well, you know,
Hmm.
to be on set but yeah, ultimately the most rewarding are ones where there's this actual dance of collaboration and you know, kind of a
Totally.
given. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a question in the chat from my mom.
All
Thanks,
right.
Mom. She says, Timmy, is it difficult to get into voiceover? How did you get into it?
Oh,
Good
yeah, good.
question.
I would say yes and no. So yes, because there's a lot of there's a there's a okay. So for me, I would say yes and no. For other people, I would say yes. So it depends.
Mm,
For me, I had such a foundation of performance and acting before I
right.
got into voiceover. I'd done, several years of stand-up comedy, and I'd done improv. I'd done theater.
I didn't know you did stand up. That's so
Oh
fun.
yeah, I did stand-up
Oh, wow.
for like 7, 8 years.
Oh, cool.
Um, not like I didn't work the clubs and stuff like
Right.
that. Like I kind of got not I wasn't super interested in the scene,
The life, yeah.
but in college and then after college I would do like private gigs and stuff like that and perform and
Oh, cool.
uh, but that formed a nice foundation so that when I went into voiceover I already had so many performing hours put in, Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hours thing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Um, so I had kind of put in a lot of the paces that prepped me for being able to go into voiceover. Some people who don't have a lot of experience performing or acting, uh, just jumping into voiceover would be hard because
Right.
uh, you're not going to have a lot of that foundation in place.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the misconceptions with the voiceover is that it's all about your voice. A lot of people are like, "Ooh, you've got a nice voice. You'd be great for voiceover." That was true in the 50s.
Mm.
Um, you could just speak like this. You could do. No one really cares anymore about that. In fact, most of the specifications I get in auditions say, "Please, no announcers. We don't want announcers. We want normal sounding people."
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so that means, if you're just trying to represent someone normal, that's what actors do. It's acting. So representing truth um, in a kind of scripted form. Um, so yeah, so I would say, and then just perseverance. It's
Right.
hard and it's easy. Um, like if the one thing you have power over I think in any industry is your perseverance, how long you're willing to stick with it.
Yeah.
You may not have power to get yourself the jobs or the gigs or to get offers and things like that, but you do have the power to not quit.
Yeah.
Um, and
I think
I
that's the
am
big
now,
difference between the people
yeah,
that make it and that don't make it is, of course talent, but not giving up, because it is hard when you're like, well, I've been doing this for 10 years, but maybe if you had continued for one more year.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, John Krasinski's the big kind of anecdote on that one because he was about to quit and his mom was like, "Just give it 3 more months." Then he
Really? I
got
didn't know
this.
that.
Yeah,
Wow.
he's
That's
gonna go into
amazing.
law or something like that, and his mom was like, "Okay, just I know I told you don't do it, but do it for 3 more months. You'll hate yourself if you quit."
Sorry. Someone just um so they've been doing Bryce, someone knocked on the door. Can you
Oh, okay.
Spence, he thinks he's a big guard dog.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, it's okay. Oh my goodness. Are you gonna answer the door?
No, it's just a package.
Oh, it was just a package. Okay,
Package.
cool. We've had
Going to the quarantine
construction
room.
going on, and sometimes the guys knock on our door because they need to like get in our side yard or whatever. So, sorry about that.
No worries. I
Spence,
got one too. He's just upstairs.
this is the real life. You get the real life here. I think
Yeah.
there's someone at the door. Bryce is gonna answer the door right now.
Okay.
We'll see. Spence is convinced.
Might have another guest on the show.
Yeah, another guest. We have another question from
Oh.
Uncle G. I don't know
Sam.
Gigi. I don't know how to say it.
Jidge.
It's
Uncle
Sam.
Jidge. That's
Uncle
Sam.
Jidge. Hello. He asked, "Worst mic you ever had and your dream mic?"
Oh, worst mic I ever had?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely the built-in mic on my laptop.
Yeah.
That's the worst mic. But that I used a Rode Podcaster mic for 8 years.
Oh.
That's a mic with a built-in interface and preamp all in one. That's what USB mics are. You just plug them right in your computer, plug and play.
Yeah.
And I used that for a lot of years, like 8 years, 7 years. And I never really had clients complain about it until I got my current mic.
Oh.
This beauty right here. This is a
Ooh.
Neumann TLM 103, and then I realized I'd been talking on absolute shit
Oh,
for
yeah.
for 7 years.
I was so shocked. I just got this one, and I've been using the stage handheld mic for podcasting,
Oh yeah,
and this blows it away. So it's amazing once you upgrade for sure.
it is. It really is. The other thing I not mic related, but I'm in my booth right now. This is people are like, why does he have carpeted walls?
Oh yeah, we didn't mention this is
Yeah.
Timmy's sound booth.
My sound booth.
He's really into the 70s shag, so
Yeah, that's right. Everywhere.
everywhere.
Shag, ceilings. But yeah, I put a monitor. It's right behind me here. To be able to read my copy and stuff off of that instead of my laptop screen, and that's just like little things like that. You're like, how did I live before?
Oh yeah.
How did I survive?
Now,
So-
didn't you put that bookshelf in for joining calls?
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, it's largely unchanged.
Yeah.
Since I've got some like Hobbit Pez dispensers up here,
Yes. And the kids
like-
drawing.
yeah, Father's Day art and stuff.
I love it. So it's just stayed. You're like, you know what?
It
This
did.
is nice.
It's nice. It adds a little bit of warmth to an otherwise boring carpeted walled booth.
Yeah. We were trying to figure out how can we make this not look like Timmy's in a cave.
Exactly.
So
So
another question is there what can a director do before the shoot that helps you out? So we kind of talked about like giving motivation on set, but like what can they do before a shoot? Are table reads and rehearsals really helpful for you?
yeah, I would say yes.
Okay.
I think as a performer, and someone who comes from theater, and someone who really loves the craft and getting there. I've shown up on set where we've done no rehearsals, and it's just like go. And in some ways, there's just an unsettling feeling. Like I mean, I hope I give them what they want.
Yeah.
But we haven't even really talked through this, and part of that is schedules are crazy, and there's this inherent like trust from the director and from producers that you are good at what you do, you'll be ready to go when the camera rolls, and that we should always as actors be prepared for that. But it is nice to be able to really know that we're going to be able to give the director or the producers what they want. So rehearsal is nice. Voiceover, I don't think I've ever had a rehearsal for at least a commercial gig or any real gig,
Right.
even video games. But yeah, I think like rehearsals, and even just kind of being able to group before a shoot, it is nice. Because like at least for me as a people pleaser, like I wanna give you what you want, and so it's good to know what you're thinking and what's in your head as a
Yeah.
director. And so yeah, I think rehearsals are great. I think and an actor's director usually will do that, and you usually hear from actors like, oh, we got to rehearse, it was really nice.
Oh, nice.
And actors will sometimes do it anyway, but yeah, I think it's nice to be able to just at least talk through and be able to be prepped and not going into a scene. Because the other thing is, if you have a big role, you're going to be in multiple scenes. Multiple scenes in a production, whether it's TV or film, not just obviously if you're just a guest or a co-star and you have one scene, like it's not hard to have consistency.
Right.
But if you're going to be multiple scenes over multiple days, you want that character to be consistent. And so having a good brief, not debrief, that's usually what you do afterwards, but like having a good kind of grounding so that you can, obviously an actor's job is to be able to do that, like that we know our job.
Yeah.
But it is good to know what is wanted and what is thought about. And then sometimes as an actor, you get to also wow them or surprise them with something they weren't expecting, because that's part of the fun is being able to, again, collaborate in something they didn't even know they wanted.
Yeah. And going off that, my mom just asked, would it be helpful to know your other actors to help play off of them? And I think that's a huge plus for doing table reads and rehearsals.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Especially if there's like if you have like two actors who are supposed to be a couple. Like I know you and Calico in Infectious did not have a lot of time to really get to know each other on a mistake on my part for sure. But we did several rehearsals before shooting on set the day of, so that you guys could start to gel and get to know each other. But I think it's super helpful, especially if you have romantic interests, if you're doing a rom-com or something.
Comedy for sure.
Comedy, because comedy, because different actors have different comedic timing, and you got to figure out your partner's comedic timing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why so many comedies first seasons aren't that good, because the actors, it's okay. The
Spence really wants to be a part of this. He has stuff to say.
Just hold on to him, bring him in, hold on to him and clap.
Spence, come here. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like it's not coincidental at all that that you watch the first season of The Office or the first season of Parks and Rec or the first season of a lot of shows like that, and they're fine because obviously a good writing team is more than half the battle.
Oh yeah.
But there's still a synergy that exists between actors that can't really happen until they get to know each other and have. That's why any improv team is not going to be as good the first year. They get progressively better because they've got a symbiosis that happens.
Spence disagrees. He thinks they're good
right
away.
Spence, what do you know?
Spence, it's okay, buddy. We know they've been doing construction for a month. You know that they're here. It's not any different today. Yeah, that is all great. So we have another question. Would you rather do a reoccurring on a camera or top of show for a VO gig, animated series?
Oh, interesting question.
Ben also says Ben is just scared of my cats. Probably. He is scared of cats.
Yeah. It's pretty common with dogs. It's okay, Spence. I am my first love is on camera. I did stand up and I do improv. Like I like putting my whole body into something.
Yeah. This is Timmy
animation.
Very contained right now, guys. He's extremely animated.
Yeah. I mean, a recurring role for me, like that would be I'd be over the moon. Like it depends on how recurring. You know what I mean? Like if I'm only on if I only get like a season, like a couple episode arc, well, that is totally different. Than, like if I actually be recurring throughout seasons, then that would be absolutely. I'd take that hands down.
I think from a director's perspective too, I mean, I love film and I definitely want to do filmmaking. I think there's something really wonderful about telling a complete story. However, I mean, I'm a huge fan of that 70s show and just seeing the behind the scenes, like the idea of being able to go to work with this group of people that you've become so tight knit with every day and just have fun, I think would be so much fun. And the thing is like when you film something, traditionally when we can actually be on set together, you kind of form like this little tight knit family for like a short period of time. Everyone becomes like really close and it's really fun. And so the idea of that relationship developing over time would be really exciting and awesome, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely. I am an extrovert, very relational, kind of relationship driven person. And so TV absolutely appeals to me for that reason, is like getting to form relationships and work with the same people like that, like would just be unbelievable.
Yeah.
I remember seeing like some extra footage or extra, it was just kind of behind the scenes stuff in an interview with Tom Cruise.
Oh.
I can't remember what movie it was. It might have been one of the Mission Impossibles, but he was saying like what he loves about being able to be on a new project is he gets to make friends. And I remember being like, oh, that's like he's like everybody. He just wants friends. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
And probably his superstar status makes that hard. To just in general, but I think also like going movie to movie, like you have different people all the time. But a multi-season show, like really, like they do become family.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So we have another question in the chat. Do you search out roles? How do you find parts? And is it different for on camera versus voiceover roles, or do you go through same casting sites?
Yeah, so good question. For voiceover, it is different. There's a couple different like whenever people say the voiceover industry, that's kind of like that's a huge umbrella, like huge tent. You know, like it's there's so many different aspects of the voice. I mean, animation is its own little world. Promo, which is like the in a world movie trailer kind of thing, is its own little smaller universe. Commercial then is this big world that can that can be local, regional, national. And then video games, and then even in video games you got mocap, which is its own motion capture,
right,
which is its own little community. So to say voiceover industry, well, these are all tiny little kind of worlds in and of themselves that are not necessarily easy to break into. Then there's like looping, which is kind of voiceover. People probably don't know what loop groups are generally.
No. Yeah, what is that?
Any movie or TV where someone's sitting in a cafe, for instance, and there's all the chatter going on in the background.
Oh, it's like the background walla.
Yeah, extras on set are not talking at all. They're moving their mouths.
Right.
They'll get actors, usually 4 or 5.
What? They're acting?
into a
Uh-oh, I'm losing you. Oh,
Actors,
you're back.
and
Okay.
they do chatter. They're there literally. Oh, sorry. Um, they get these looping groups. They get in a little room and they. Oh, can you?
No,
I'm
you're good
seeing poor
now.
connection.
Oh,
Okay. Uh, yeah. I don't know what's happening. I'm
you're
plugged in
turning
anyway.
into
Can you hear?
Bryn from Joining Call, the one with
Oh,
technical problems.
yeah. It's probably related to my power outage today. Um, but anyway, all that to say, like, you kind of do have to kind of decide, like, what is it that you want to pursue.
Hmm.
Um, Animation's tough for me right now because I'm not in LA, and that's where most of it is. Although right now it doesn't matter. Everyone's recording from home.
Yeah.
Uh, so, I should be bugging my agent more to get me more animation because this is the time to be doing it. But
Hmm.
at the same time, productions may still be halted on animation. I don't really know. Um,
Yeah,
but the
I
question,
don't know. That's a good
yeah,
question.
I have no idea. The question was, how do you select roles? Yeah.
Hmm.
So I have agents. So I have different regional agents. Most of them are commercial. So I do commercial stuff. My LA agent will sometimes give me video games or, animation or things like that. And so you're kind of dependent on them to send you stuff.
Hmm.
I do have some relationships with casting directors. So sometimes they'll call me directly.
Yeah.
Uh, and a lot of that is still commercial. And then there's online platforms, kind of like a freelancer would go. Like if you're um, web design or something like that, you have like places you can go get work and put
Hmm.
out bids. There's the same thing goes up for voiceover. There's voice123.com. There's voices.com. And I get a lot of my work from voice123.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
so so that's on camera. Then yeah, there's especially that's more in LA or New York. So
Hmm.
Actors Access or LA Casting, like those are Now Casting.
Now
Those are
casting, yeah.
and those are places you go to really beef up your resume, get
Hmm.
up get up opportunity and really more experience for your reel and stuff. Um,
Right.
or people move to Atlanta, like some of our friends have done
Yeah.
because there you can actually be in a smaller pool of actors where you can actually get guest star and co-star roles before
Hmm.
you move to like a New York or an LA.
Yeah.
Um, and
Totally.
so
We have some friends who have had a bit of success doing that too.
yeah, yeah,
Definitely.
it's a
Yeah.
very viable option
Yeah.
to build
Plus
your
it's
career.
cheaper to live in Atlanta, so
Yes,
that's a big
yes, it is.
plus. Um, so before we move on to talk about joining call, are there any
Yeah,
sort of tips, any other tips you would give young actors who are, or even young directors who are directing actors?
yeah. So I know like um, how it feels as especially because I knew pretty early on, like in college, like I wanted to pursue acting or even filmmaking in some capacity.
Hmm.
And I remember
What
you like
college did you go to? Just out of
I went
curiosity.
to a small little liberal arts
Oh,
college here in Pennsylvania called
nice.
Messiah College, um, and it's a small little Christian liberal arts college.
Did you get
Uh,
your master's in Messiah?
yes, yes, and I mastered it. Some would say it's a complex. No, I am. I learnned how to be the Messiah.
Anyway,
So,
you were saying
yeah.
before I rudely
Uh,
interrupted you
no, no,
with
no,
my
no,
own
no.
bit.
Yeah, good bit. Good for you, Sam. Um, but anyway, like, there's this kind of like you like, especially when you're young, like you're so hungry, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like you got the hunger. Oh, hold on, my phone just rang. Uh, you like you don't have the kind of feeling of like patience, or you hear stories of like actors who like Steve Carell, someone who like just like was for 18 years was just grinding until he
Wow,
got
yeah.
you know what I mean? Although he was pretty successful by my standards way earlier than 18 years. He was on
Yeah,
the
because he
Daily
was Second
one.
City, right?
Yeah,
Too?
yeah.
Yeah.
He was on the Dana Carvey show, which was, like pretty big deal. He and Steve Colbert um and Louis C.K. like all of them
Oh,
way before 4-year-old virgin. So that's success to me. But anyway, like you do, like you hear stories of people that were at it for years before they got a break, and there's like, I remember having the feeling like, well, that's not going to be me. I don't want that to be me. I want it to happen now, right now.
Yeah.
And I think that for me, like I would give any young creative of any sort, whether it's filmmaking or you want to do any kind of art, visual art or music or comedy, this is a long game. Like if you love it, if this is what you want to do, like first establish that this is what you want. I'm not the kind of person who's like, if you can do anything else, do it. I don't forget. I don't buy into that. Like we can all do something else. Like all of us could do something else. Like this kind of this narrative of like you can't do anything else but act. Like no, that's ridiculous. Like everybody could do anything else, but if you really want to do it and you love it, then do it.
Yeah.
But give it time and don't put, really you can't. 10 years is a good marker. So I just hit like 10, 11 years doing voiceover, and this year I have seen really the most return on that effort. Like I've had a really good year in terms of like income and just opportunity, right?
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. So 10 years is certainly a good marker, but yeah, give it time.
But it might take longer,
Yeah.
I mean, Samuel L. Jackson, he didn't actually get his big break till he was like in his 40s, right?
Yeah, I heard that. I know Morgan Freeman might have been in his late 40s, early
50s or something. Yeah. So,
he's doing extra work. Like it's absolutely attainable. It's absolutely doable. But you have to. I mean, maybe you will be that lightning in a bottle, that lightning strike that gets it when they're young. A lot of people, you have to realize, who get it when they're young have been also doing it for 15 years.
Yeah, they were child actors,
or they have family members who are really plugged in, right?
Yeah.
And nepotism, which is huge.
Yes, it is a factor.
But to me, it's like, if this is something you believe you want to do and you believe in yourself, you can. But don't put some 1 year, 2 year, 5 year like limit on it, because like you're already setting yourself up for massive disappointment and frustration.
And you're throwing all that time away, that you've invested.
Right, and you're not being present. To me, one of the biggest things that I think actors, especially actors, and anyone who's pursuing this dream, whether it's filmmaking, because it's a dream. Like who wouldn't, like it? Everybody at some point has dreamt about being an actor, even people that aren't actors. You know what I mean? Or being like a famous Hollywood producer or director. Like it's glamorous. Like it's really glamorous. Go to red carpets and stuff. I've never walked a red carpet, incidentally. Like it's just nothing. I've never been invited.
For the first time for Zombie Debt, I walked the red carpet behind, oh my God, I can't believe I'm blanking on her name. She's really funny. She's in Bridesmaids.
Oh, Melissa McCarthy?
Yes, we walked right behind Melissa McCarthy. It was so cool.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was. I mean, obviously we were in appropriate space to be away from her, but it was still like, she's right there.
That's amazing. That's so cool.
That was cool.
Yeah, like I just think that when we have these huge dreams, we're always thinking about, how does this present thing that I'm working on service me getting to this place in the future that doesn't exist, right? So I'm all about presence and living right here now. Like this is where my spiritual kind of direction is right now, like being present, right? And when we're obsessed with getting to some what we think will be it for us, we're never present. We're never appreciating the thing that we get to do right now, the thing that is in front of us, that is attainable right here.
Right. Yeah.
So that's another thing. It's totally aside from any artistic pursuit, is practice presence and and there's a lot of resources out there
Yeah.
for presence, because to be able to really enjoy the pursuit of any of these fields, we have to be able to be great, have gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be able to be thankful for what we have right in front of us, and we have to be able to enjoy the journey. Otherwise, we're never going to actually attain. And Hollywood is filled with all these stories of people that we think are at the top, and they come back saying it sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks. Like over and over again, you hear, because they once they achieved it, they're already focused on the next thing. You know?
Yeah, I
So-
think if you have to, it has to be a thing where you're so passionate about it that
Yeah.
you just love the act of doing it, even if
Yeah.
you're not being paid, even if you are being paid, but it's not a lot. Like, you're there, you know. For me as a director, that's really important when I'm hiring crew and cast. Like, I want people that just want to be there because it's fun and we
Yeah.
love doing it, you know?
Yeah. Right.
And we're like, sure, it would be really cool if this web series got picked up by
Yeah.
a network. But you
Yeah.
know what? If it doesn't, at
If it
least we
doesn't-
had a ton of fun doing it, you
We
know?
did.
Yeah.
And you can see those people who only see this thing as a stepping stone. You can see them from 100 miles away, because they just, they're not present. They're not there. They're just kind of, they're too good for it, and the other thing is, for me, like I was really inspired by, I saw Clint, what's his last name?
McElroy?
No, he's
Oh.
the brother of the director of this is ridiculous, of Apollo 13. Ron,
Oh. I don't
Beautiful Mind, and Apollo
Beautiful.
13,
I
and
IMDb.
what's wrong with me? It's like one of the most famous directors ever.
I don't know. I'm blanking too. Anyway.
Anyway, his brother is in Apollo 13. He was in Happy Days. What's wrong with you?
Oh, Ron Howard. Ron Howard.
Ron Howard. Ron Howard. Clint Howard
Uh-huh.
is his brother, and he's been in a lot of Ron's projects. But Clint was the guest of honor at the Big Bear Film Festival. Like when I went to it in
Oh,
2010.
really? That's so
Friend
fun.
of mine. Yeah, a friend of mine had an entry, and so we went to watch it. And Clint was he received a special award, and they interviewed him, and one of the things he said is he just always says yes. He always doesn't. He's not too good for anything. Like, he has done everything from respected Ron Howard films to like C monster movies.
Because it's fun. It's like Bill Murray. Like,
Yeah.
if he thinks it's fun, he doesn't really care, who it
Yeah.
is or whatever.
Right. Exactly. And Bill Murray ends up probably making it better.
Yeah. Okay,
Just
I got two quick more
Yeah, yeah.
questions for you from the chat, and then I do want to talk about Joy and Call before we run out of
yes.
time.
As you can tell, I'm very long-winded about everything.
And the construction has just started, so I apologize, everybody.
Right.
It's all sorts of live streaming. Okay, so my mom asked, she says she went to a presentation of voiceover and learned there is expensive equipment needed to purchase to get in the field. Is that required?
No.
Yes. Timmy's mic is $1,000 mic, guys.
Okay. Yes, but I didn't buy it until I was 8 years into being a voice actor.
True. There are cheaper mics you can get away with.
Right, exactly. It is very, to me, very, very simple answer. Buy it when it becomes apparent that you need it, right? So otherwise, there are a lot of cheaper options that work great. Like I said, I had happy clients with the cheap. It wasn't the cheapest mic. It was a $300 mic. The Rode Podcaster, $250, but it got the job done.
And that was a
And
plug and play? No interface required?
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
Wow. Okay.
Ultimately, it is about you as the actor and the craft, and
Right.
and you bring yourself. The biggest thing is just don't have equipment that is distracting from that. If it's
Right.
good enough to get your performance across, people aren't going to focus on the quality. Some engineer will, because that's their world, right?
Yeah.
An
And
audio
they'll
engineer
complain.
that's not going to be like the bit rate on that was just too low. Like, so
Yeah.
don't worry about don't let equipment be a barrier of entry for you.
Right. Okay.
There are options that can sound just fine.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like that. I liken it to like people like who buy like super expensive bikes because they're super light, but they're overweight. I'm like, your bike need to lose weight. You need to lose weight. Don't spend $8,000 on a 15-pound road bike. Buy a weight bike. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's not the equipment; it's the person. Like ultimately, like
Gotcha.
you should put your energy and your investment into your craft, into workshops and coaching and acting classes and getting into groups, just getting in with groups of other actors who can give you great feedback.
Yeah.
Like that's where your investment should go, because ultimately it's about you, the artist, not the equipment.
Great answer. Okay, second question, really quick, and it's from Brandon, who is also in joining call. Welcome, Brandon. He's watching. And Brandon wants to know, Timmy, do you have any tips, insights, ideas for how to deliver conversational read that commercial VO producers are looking for? Great question, Brandon. Thank you.
Very good question. Yes, this is something that ironically, like, we're all good at because we have conversations all the time.
I know. But when you think about it, when you're trying to...
we get a mic in our face and we're like, so I would say one is don't be married to the script, especially if they want a conversational read. The script is there as a guideline for you, right? You are not, I would say, 9.8. I'm not a casting director, nor am I a copywriter or decision maker for these things. But I would say most times they are not going to disqualify you from a job if you don't follow the script directly, right? And so one great way to be conversational read is add little flourishes. You can call them ad libs or improvs. A lot of times, if I need to sound conversational, I will throw just a little bit, like, say the line is, in these trying times. We hear that a lot. Or it can be hard. Maybe the line is, things are tough right now, right? Maybe that's written. Things are tough right now. I'll throw in a little, things are tough right now. A little, or so things are tough right now. Like how people talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then maybe the solution will be like, but Verizon is here to help, so that would be the written line. I might write, well, Verizon is here to help. So I'll add little, what do we call lead-ins?
Yeah. They're more like conversational phrases.
Yeah. Someone's gonna be like, well, he didn't read the script right. He's not getting the job. Like, then they're petty and they're not gonna. Don't ever feel. Now, if it's a very serious script, or if it's like for like a serious like financial device or something that is or a brand anthem where they really want something, well, that's not conversational anyway.
Right.
But if they want,
but if they ask for it,
then don't be married to the script. Even add little funny, like, oh, that's interesting. Or there's always going to be room at the end for a button. Like today I did one where I won't say the product because I could get in trouble, but at the end, like, it was a conversational piece with another actor who wasn't with me. I was just reading my lines. But at the end, I just added a little button like, wow, I will be buying one of those. And just little things like that. They just love it because a lot of actors don't do that. And so it does help you stand out.
Yeah.
Big one, smile and move your hands like you would in any kind of conversation. Just try and replicate normal life when you come to your copy.
Yeah, and I will say, as someone who does not have 10 years of acting experience, I, since starting my YouTube channel and doing tutorial courses for LinkedIn Learning, I have had to be in front of the camera. And a lot of people come to me now that see my Film It Yourself videos, and they're like, you're so good. How did you get here? Well, you haven't seen my first, go back and watch my very first LinkedIn Learning course, and I am so, the tip that I will give people is, I use a teleprompter, and I always try to read it, do a read through before you record. So read through the
Yeah, yeah,
script out loud before you record to get comfortable with it, because the first time you read it, you're out loud, you're going to be stumbling and it's going to be awkward. So just go ahead and do that before you record. And
yeah,
then the other thing that I think is really hard, and I don't know how important it is for voiceover, but I do think personally it still takes effect, is I have to remind myself to smile. Like if you're supposed to
yeah,
be happy, like do the facial expressions, because that actually does
yeah.
affect your vocal cords.
It does.
Mhm.
It's so true. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, time. Like just the more you do it, the more paces you put in,
Yeah. You'll get
the more
smoother.
just get better at it. Yeah.
Oh, and the other
Um,
tip as a director that I will give you, as someone who has directed people so many times, is slow down. And I have to remind myself to do this too, is I will try to read it as fast as possible sometimes, and it's like
yeah.
you got to find the sweet spot of sounding natural but also not trying to go
Right.
too fast that you're tripping yourself up. So,
Totally. Yep. For
okay.
sure.
All right. Are you
Okay.
ready to talk about join and call? And I'm so glad
Join
that
and
Brandon's
call.
here too. So Brandon, please feel free to add whatever info about the film you want to in the chat. Um, cool. The hammering starts now. It's so perfect for this film. So if you don't know about my new short film, written with my podcast co-host, Pat Edwards wrote it. He has written actual D&D campaigns, which is cool. So he came to me with this idea and wrote this short film about a group of people trying to get together to play D&D on a video chat, but all the things with quarantine get in the way, such as children, internet connections, which was Brandon's character, and couples at each other's throats, just all sorts of. Oh, your ring light decided to join
I
us today.
tried. Yeah, let's see. Maybe it was getting too hot. I don't know. It doesn't work. Like
All sorts of fun things that happen that get in the way so that the poor DM, played by Natalie Lynch, cannot actually start the campaign. And so I wanted to talk to you about that. Tell us about your character, Hugh. We talked a little bit already, but
yeah, Hugh is kind of me. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Only obviously his the medium is a little different. Instead of doing voiceover at home, he's doing Dungeons and Dragons, and yeah, so he's just like everybody, just trying to have a little space to himself. If you have a chance, Chris Hemsworth just put out a little video on his channel where he's actually trying to do like a meditation, where he's at the bottom of a pool, and his kid keeps jumping into frame in the water, swimming up to the camera and swimming up to him, and he's literally pushing his kid away from him. And it's so perfect because it captures what quarantine really is these, you love your kids, but you usually in normal life you have little space. Especially once they're older, you have little, they go away someday, they go to school, like, but they're always here. They're just always here. And in some parents' cases, as their kids get older, they go to bed later, so you have no time. Like you have an hour at the end of the day to yourself. And so I resonate very much with Hugh because that's really his dilemma in joining call, is the kids are just always there, and there's just the interruptions of family life that get kind of amplified by family always being home.
Yes, because your wife keeps interjecting. In fact, I don't think you know yet, but I decided just to play your wife.
I wondered. I was asking someone I think Sam last night, like who did she? And I think maybe it was someone else. Maybe Katie, our friend Katie, said that maybe Ash did it. I was like, oh,
yeah, I just ended up. I needed a temp track, so I did it, and then I was like, it's not bad. Why not? Done. Nice. Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about filming with your son, because your son Benny is in the film and he plays Bobby, and he's adorable, by the way. I have sent the film to just a small group of friends to get their feedback who weren't involved in the film, and they all loved your son. He did such a good job. Let me say, I was impressed.
Oh, good. He was about it.
He
He
was.
was so happy.
So the scene, I guess we'll set it up a little bit. Like the scene is he had to come in and actually throw a bouncy, like a big bouncy ball at your face.
Yeah.
And getting him to the point where he was comfortable with actually throwing it at your face was a little challenging because I think he was like, I'm not supposed to do this.
Right, yeah, he knows this is not okay to throw something at Dad. And we're also like we're in this 6x6.5 box.
Yeah.
We filmed in here. And, on top of the stuff I already have in here, there was other stuff, a camera and more lighting than normal, and it was very cramped.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he was afraid of, of it causing things to collapse and fall down.
Oh.
So, I think, and he was only like a foot off camera.
Yeah.
So it was, it was pretty cramped, but he, it was also like, I get to throw a ball at Dad's face.
Yeah.
That's nice.
In fact, I remember at one point we were filming and he threw the ball at your face and then it knocks over your guitar, which is still behind you. And you were, as an actor, still in the scene. And so you start yelling at him about knocking over the guitar. And the poor thing is like, I'm so sorry. And you're like, no, I'm acting.
I know. That's one thing I learned in improv is whenever there's apparently a mistake, you don't acknowledge a mistake. You just run with it. It's what we call a gift.
Yeah.
It's kind of perfect. And when actors do that, some of probably the best takes. There's actually inside John Malkovich, Being John Malkovich, that movie. There's a scene where an extra threw a can at his head. You remember this?
Whoa, I don't remember that scene, but I love that movie.
Someone driving, hey, John Malkovich, throws a can, hits him
right.
square in the head. And he goes, ah! Like he just screams. That was complete, like that extra was not supposed to do that.
Wow.
But they kept it in because
oh my gosh.
an actor, like I just feel like any actor, a moment like that, you just stay in it. You know what I mean? Because sometimes those little things end up being
gold.
Just gold, yeah.
Oh, wow.
No, obviously, this is the first thing he's ever been, and I couldn't expect him to do that. But anyway.
Wow. So let's talk about one of the challenges of the film was we shot it all in quarantine and we shot it all remotely. And we had, Timmy's in Pennsylvania. We had Matt Young in Chicago. We had several actors spread out through LA. I think Natalie was in Utah at the time too.
Right.
Like everyone was all over the place. But one of the major requirements for being cast in the film was you had to have a mic and you had to have some sort of camera already. So tell me, Timmy, about the challenges of having to film yourself.
Yes, yeah. Right. Normally, it's the nice thing about being an actor is you show up on set and you do you. You know what I mean? Like I let the gaffers and I let the grips and they handle the lighting. Let all the assistant directors handle the extras. Like there's someone that handles everything. You just do your job.
Yeah.
Right. And this one, I was the DP, and I was the key grip and the best boy, and the the set decorator.
Yeah. Costume designer.
Costume, like sound. I was the sound tech. Everything. So that does make it a little bit more anxiety provoking. Working in a tight space also was difficult because I couldn't just. My computer's on a desk. Standing desk, right behind here, and so that's against a wall. So it wasn't easy for me to be able to get around and look through my viewfinder. And then of course I don't have a stand-in, so it's not like I can pull focus. So literally, like you saw me doing it every time to pull focus. I was reaching, holding down the button to make sure focus is locked.
Poor Timmy, yeah.
And then on top of that, I forgot like that I only had an 8 gig SD card,
Right.
and so dumping footage every other shot,
Yeah. So Timmy's
which
camera,
was also
he only had an 8 gig memory card. So we would shoot a take, and Timmy would immediately have to take his camera down, dump the footage, put it back in,
yep,
do it again, just to
yep.
get each take, which was a process, but it actually it worked out fine. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. After a couple hours, we really did get into a groove, and things were moving pretty smoothly by the
yeah.
end.
And you and I, we spent some time before the shoot. We had a one-on-one where I went over camera settings with you because half the people, everyone cast was comfortable and familiar with recording their own audio.
Yeah,
Everybody had that down.
yeah,
I'd say half the cast was comfortable with recording their own video already because they're YouTubers or
yeah,
video content creators or filmmakers. Um, and then the other half I had to have one-on-one meetings with because they'd
yeah,
never shot video before. And you were one of them, so we went over your
yeah,
camera settings. Luckily, you had a DSLR camera, so we were able to
yeah.
use that. Some people even shot
Yeah,
on
which
iPhones.
and I had done some video stuff before, but it'd been a while. Like I hadn't like
Yeah,
shot myself,
in a long
especially anything
time.
like this in a
So
long time.
we had meetings where I went over camera settings with Timmy, and then we also went over the lighting. So Timmy already has a ring light, as you've seen it turn on and off.
Yeah,
But the lamp behind him, in order to match the lighting, we got daylight bulbs that he put in to match the
yeah,
light of the ring light so that all of his lighting stayed consistent. And we did a similar thing with Brandon where Brandon used a lamp, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Brandon, and natural light. And so Brandon also got a daylight bulb so that his lamp light would match the natural light.
yeah,
But Brandon also brought up in the chat the fun of slating before each take and how that got funnier as we went along because also everybody had to slate
yeah.
themselves.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
So everyone
Clapping.
clapping and holding up their paper with the take number written on it was, I'll have to make a whole gag reel for that. That was
Oh yeah.
really fun. But yeah, we talked briefly a little bit about this, I think, before we went live, but you were saying you had some takeaways from the experience of having to do all that.
Yeah, I mean it you do learn a lot through that kind of process. It's I feel far more equipped for something like that again. Um, at the same time, like as an actor, like we love that collaborative experience with other actors and
Mm-hmm.
filmmakers, and I've really felt that disconnect.
Yeah.
Even though I was on camera with all these amazing actors and people, like every one of them, I was like, I want to be your friend. But we were on discourse. It's not like you can just be like, hey, let's hang out at Crafty and chat and
Yeah.
get to know each other.
Mm-hmm.
There's no real breakout unless you do it on your own,
Yeah.
which Brandon and I did.
Oh,
We
cool.
talked a couple times, yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah, so I just miss getting to know my fellow cast members. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
uh, some ways it was just like watching a video with them in it that I just happened to be recording at the same time. But I didn't, we didn't get to really know each other.
Mm-hmm.
Which is actually that's voiceover too. I mean, you have actors that are in the same movies that don't ever work to get in the same room at the same time.
Right.
So that's not totally unfamiliar, uh, but yeah, well, it was super fun doing this unique thing. I missed you and I got to actually connect in the prep of it and
Mm-hmm.
everything, and you are to your viewers, Ash is a saint. So patient. So like you never got freaked. Like you could have been like, oh, what do we do? Oh my gosh, I'm so stressed. Like you were always like you are right now, just like it's okay. What's the problem? Talk to me. Talk to me. Like that is an element. And I will say right there, like I didn't even think about that when you asked like what do you like in a director, but that especially in moments of stress, someone who can stay calm,
Mm.
and that goes such a long way because there were a couple stressful moments where I was like, I'm gonna ruin this whole production.
Yeah, I think your fan was kicking on too, and you
Yeah,
were like trying to
yeah,
problem solve that. Um,
yeah,
yeah, I mean that. I think comes with experience. You know, I have definitely had student film shoots where I didn't keep my cool for sure. And so that just sort of comes with experience. And as a director, I mean, um, was I having a mini heart attack internally? Yes. But it's all about like, you know, that if I bring that energy, then everyone is affected by that energy. You know, like the
Yeah.
actors, the crew members. As a director, you're the leader, you're steering the ship, and your vibe is the vibe of the shoot.
Yeah.
And so it's
Absolutely.
super important, you know, to keep your cool, because if I freak out, then everyone's going to freak out. And that's
Yeah.
not setting you up as an actor to give the best performance that you could. So,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
It's a great word because I mean, when I did extra work when I was starting out in LA, there was palpable differences and from one set to another depending on the
Oh,
personality.
wow. Yeah.
Um, like Tom Hanks, I did that. It was a Ron Howard movie, Angels and Demons, which is a Dan Brown
Oh,
book that
yeah.
they the Vinci Code and then Angels and Demons. And Tom Hanks is truly just an amazing soul, and you could feel it on that set.
That's
You know,
cool.
Brian Brian Grazer, I think, is really kind of known as a kind of a good guy, and he wrote a book about curiosity and being kind of open. And Ron Howard is, and that you could feel the culture on that set because of exactly what you just said. They create a sense of community and kindness,
Mm-hmm.
um, and you feel it. You really do. You feel that, and so that I just think that's an incredible asset in any director.
Yeah. I mean, I feel
And
like
actors too.
we're my vibe is always like I want everyone to have fun on set, and if you're not having fun on set, then we're doing something wrong, you know?
Yeah,
Like it should be
yeah.
fun. It shouldn't be stressful, and especially when you know, if you're an indie filmmaker and you're like me and people are doing this as a favor to you,
Yeah, yeah,
you best not have any attitude, because they
yeah.
are doing this for free for your
Right.
vision, you know. So I'm always incredibly thankful that I have such amazing, talented actor friends that I can always call on and are willing to do this stuff for me for free. So I really
Yeah.
appreciate you too.
Oh, thank. Well, it's great. I have not had a lot of kind of capacity for a lot of creative outlets. Like some people have had nothing but time to do creative stuff
Mm-hmm.
through quarantine. Because the kids are always home, it's been the opposite.
Yeah.
I've had tons of ideas, but just zero,
Time.
opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was really a gift to have something to work on and to collaborate on and be part of in this time.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of already talked about it, but how does the film reflect on your COVID experiences? Are there other actors that maybe you related to, like other, not actors, but other characters that you related to as well in
Hmm.
the film?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean,
I
I
have
feel
gone
like
through.
Brandon's character.
I will say I have gone through the phases of all of them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have to think through like all the different characters. But yeah, for sure. Like there have been times where my wife and I are like, we're just like, best friends and having a great time. Just relaxing and chilling, watching movies. And then other times, like we're that at each other's throats. Like there's
Hmm.
just, we have, especially I feel for her because on top of me being home all the time as it is, like I need a certain level of quiet because I'm recording audio,
Right.
you know, and so she has to tiptoe around on top of having to manage children who, she needs to keep quiet. So it does create a level of like you just sometimes you're at each other's throats.
Yeah.
I think like certainly like Brandon's challenge with technology.
Hmm.
Um, just trying to relate. Like early on, we were doing family Zooms with like
Oh.
I just got to a point where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I hate it. I hate Zoom. Like because it's just not like it's so not normal interaction with people. There's uh,
Oh no, I'm losing.
relationships, you know.
Oh yeah, you totally
Oh
cut
no,
out perfectly right then.
what? Yeah, what did you lose me?
Uh, Zooms aren't, natural ways
Oh,
to talk to people or
yeah, yeah. It's
proof.
like
It's just proof.
yeah, exactly.
Totally.
Yeah, you do. You learn how important just presence, being in the presence of other people, the nonverbal aspects of a relationship, how important those are because you just can't manufacture them over a computer screen.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, Kiri Callaghan and Angelique Rockwell played the couple in our film, and they did an amazing job. And
Uh,
they were so cute because they are in such a loving relationship, and this is not their relationship. That after every
right.
take of arguing, they would turn to each other and be like, I love you too," and it was so cute.
Yeah.
Just so adorable. But they did an amazing job, and my boyfriend and I literally had the same fight where we were arguing over closing the closet door because I am definitely the messy Tegan character.
Oh,
And I was like, why does it matter? And then as I think I sat down the next day and I was editing it, and Brandon's character has this great monologue moment at the end where he says, well, maybe it's just stressful for Jess's character, like maybe she's just stressed about all this, and I just it hit me, and I was like, Bryce is just stressed, and this is adding stress, and so I can close the closet door. It's not a
yeah.
big deal. So thank you, Brandon.
Yes, that's right. Thank you, Brandon. Even though has no excuse because he's the happiest he's ever been in his life in
Oh yeah,
quarantine.
Bryce is an introvert and loving quarantine
Yeah,
every
right.
minute of it. Absolutely.
Uh,
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Timmy. Where can
yeah.
people follow you?
Sure. Yeah, I have a very humble following on Twitter at Timmy Morgan, and then I'm on Instagram uh, at Timmy Morg, I believe. Um, and I should know that. I can
I think
account.
I put it in the description.
Yeah,
So there's
that was
links
at
to it
Timmy
in the
Morg.
description. Yeah.
Yeah, Timmy Morg for Instagram. And those are probably the two platforms. I'm on Facebook, but I've been trying to cut
The
Facebook a little
Facebook
bit.
time down. Yeah.
And I'm on YouTube as well at Timmy Morg. So I have a bunch of videos on YouTube from sketches and from different, even some of my stand-ups on there if you want to go see my old stand-up. Um,
Oh.
I haven't been posting much to YouTube for some time because we didn't really even talk about it. But for a good several years, I was trying to get a feature film off the ground, and
Oh, right. Yeah.
taken so much of my kind of creative focus. And then we moved, and that it is where it is, but that's okay. It's you know, at some
In
point I make it.
progress still.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Totally. Well, thank you so much for joining me. The
uh,
film Joining Call will be coming out November 20th.
all right.
It'll be on my other YouTube channel, Laugh Stash TV. So go there, and that stash is in like a stash of laughs. So it's STASH TV. And so subscribe there so you don't miss it. You can also, while you're there, check out Timmy in Infectious because he's in that as well, which is also on Laugh
Yeah.
Stash TV.
And don't forget, somewhere on there or the
I
ninja
took
one.
that offline.
Oh, did you? What?
I'm sorry, Breakup Ninja. Breakup Ninja didn't feel appropriate anymore.
Yeah, that's fair. I get-
Yeah. So Breakup Ninja was retired. But it
All right.
was, the one Timmy was in was hilarious.
It was
Very
fun.
hilarious.
Fun.
But thank
Right.
you so much, everyone, for joining us. And see you next time with another Filmmaker Chat.
All right,
Alrighty.
guys.
Let me end stream.
End stream.
End.